Playing pro sports and writing kids' books aren't exactly a common combination, but our next guest does both. Zachary Hyman is a forward on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the author of 3 children's books. And to talk about his latest book and also what it's like to be, a Leaf, I'm joined by Zach Hyman. Okay, who knew? Who knew you were a children's author? Who knew you had this side hustle going on? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, it's, writing has always been a passion of mine, and I'm the oldest of 5 boys, so storytelling was just kind of natural to me, and it just kind of came about. I won a short story competition in grade 7, and from there, everything kind of fell into place for me with writing.
This is called The Magician's Secret. This is number 3 that you've written. Yeah. So what's the most challenging thing about writing for little people versus, writing for grown-ups?
I think definitely the most challenging thing for me is you want to make sure that they understand the story. So you have to choose your words very carefully, and you have to keep to a certain word count because you don't want to make it too cumbersome on them. You want to make sure that they come away with an important message and that they really enjoy the story. And obviously the pictures are really important, so you have to choose a really good illustrator.
Well, I was going to ask you that. How much input do you have when it comes to who does create the pictures next to the words?
So I met with the illustrator, Joe Bloom, and he was an Academy Award-winning illustrator. So right off the bat, we had a great connection, and his connection, so this book's about a relationship between a boy and his grandfather, and that's the relationship that I have with my grandfather, and he has that same relationship with his grandfather, so it was a perfect fit.
So you do have to have a connection. You gotta like the person and like how they draw and their style and everything, right?
Definitely, and you want the illustrator to have a connection to the story as well, and you want it to resonate with him, because really, the illustrations are half the book.
Totally. So this story is based on, as you said, a story from your own childhood. Is that where you come up with most of your ideas?
I like to touch on my own life and bring elements of my own life into my book. So for the hockey hero, obviously, I can bring in hockey. And for the baseball one, my grandfather's a big Babe Ruth fan, so that's Bambino and me. And for this one, I really wanted it to be about the relationship with a boy and his grandfather, and that to emulate the relationship that I have with my grandfather. And I thought that Joe did a great job in really bringing that to life.
What's the message in The Magician's Secret?
The message is whatever you believe you can achieve, and that's kind of the line that I have in that book. So every story I want to have a different message, and for this one is just, the power of imagination, the power of believing in yourself, especially for kids at a young age, because, kids always think that they can do anything, and as they get older, maybe they lose that a little bit, but I want them to keep that.
So let me ask you this. When you were a kid, did you imagine you would be a professional hockey player or a children's book writer?
I think I imagined myself, playing road hockey on the street. I'd always imagine myself scoring an overtime winner and in the Stanley Cup playoffs as a Toronto Maple Leaf. I mean, me and my brothers would always joke around. I'd try to be Matt Sundin, and then we'd have our other brother Annette, and he was Cujo, and so we loved trying to emulate those guys, and it's crazy to think that I'm now one of those guys now, so it's pretty special.
I'd be remiss not asking you about John Tavares because, of course, a lot of people are talking about that. And speaking of, he showed a picture of him lying on his Toronto Maple Leaf sheets when he was a kid, and now he's Leaf. So how do you feel about that acquisition?
Oh, I think everybody in our organization is just thrilled, and it's awesome, and it's special that a player of John's caliber wanted to come home and wanted to play with our group, and we're really happy to have him.
How hard is it to say goodbye to teammates, though, like JVR and Tyler Bozak?
Yeah, I mean, we lost a bunch of really great teammates and great people. A bunch of us came up together, and we were a young group, and we had those veteran guys, show us the ropes. So like Tyler, James, Leo, and Matt Martin.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
Leo too.
Roman also. So we lost a lot of good guys, but they're all going to be doing well, and I'm happy that they all found a good place.
Maybe your next book could be about saying goodbye, right? That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, exactly, maybe.
How hard it is to say goodbye to friends. Listen, appreciate you coming in, and thanks so much for telling us your story.
No, thank you for having me.
Okay, Zach Hyman, a forward on the Toronto Maple Leafs and author of The Magician's Secret, available now wherever books are sold.